I call Jim Allister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. There is nothing prudent, balanced or reasoned about this budget. It is a budget which was cobbled together, not informed by good financial management, not informed by a clear, united vision of where the government wants to go, but informed only by the necessity of cobbling together something in order to keep this executive on the rails. And where it takes us is a secondary consideration. It was all about whatever it took to hatch together this mix-max of proposals to apply the sticking plaster a little more to storm it. No surprise, then, that it is such a flawed document. We just heard from the last speaker, and I'm sure it came as a surprise to the Minister, that Sinn Féin negotiated $500 million for shared education. There was our Finance Minister thinking he had a hand in it, but it seems not. What, of course, Sinn Féin didn't tell us was that they have to go hand in glove with the Treasury to spend the money. And maybe the Finance Minister will expound on how that expending arrangement is going to work. Because as I read it and I understand the arrangements, it seems to be that the strings attached to this $500 million very much mean that you have to get the consent of Mother Treasury. And interesting to see Sinn Féin put themselves in that position. But of course, this whole budget, the net outcome of this budget, is one underpinned by huge borrowings. Huge borrowings which take us to that most unenviable place of being the head of population in the devolved regions with the highest level of borrowings of anywhere. 1.8 billion, and rising as we embrace the folly of uncosted corporation tax, as we embrace the folly of perpetual underwrite of no welfare reform, and continuing to top up out of the block grant the losses there. So the borrowings are likely to only go in one way. Of course, that will not concern Sinn Féin, because Sinn Féin is very happy to bankrupt Northern Ireland. Fits entirely with their mantra of the failed political entity. No intention of looking for prudence or good government. They're not in government to give anyone in Northern Ireland good government. No surprise, then, that when they get the opportunity, that they're quite happy to bankrupt Northern Ireland. And then, Greek-like, they will look to the rest of the world with the biggest begging bowl they can find and say, everyone owes us a living. Everyone must rescue us. Everyone must write off our borrowings that we foolishly run up. That's the mentality of those who tell us they shaped this budget, and that is leading us in very much the wrong direction. And let us think about welfare reform. There's a distinct opaqueness within this budget about how the new cost of welfare reform is going to be paid for. Some things are pretty clear. We're going to continue, it seems, to pay 6,600 families in Northern Ireland benefits in excess of the cap of £26,000. So we're going to continue to keep them at the standard to which they've become accustomed on public handouts. And we're going to do that, it seems, in perpetuity. And how many millions, therefore, into the future that is, who knows? And if the cap drops in GB, as anticipated, to 23,000, then on current figures we're going to sustain the undiluted benefits to 12,000 families. And how are we going to pay for it? Well, there's no new money, quite clearly, from Westminster to pay for that. So that has to come out of the money for health and education and roads and everything within the block grant. So the choice that the Finance Minister and his colleagues has made is to fund all of that by prejudicing expenditure on the real needs that are catered for in the block grant. And that is an albatross which has been fitted around the neck of Northern Ireland for years to come. And that is something, along with the unspecified cost of corporation tax, which again will raid the block grant to an unspecified amount, but a huge amount nonetheless. And yet we have this. The silliness of an enterprise minister telling us that corporation tax is going to put £3,000 into everyone's pocket in wages. Such patent, unproven nonsense. And that is some of the spin that attaches to this. And, you know, here we have corporation tax negotiated. And yet when you ask the question, as I have, of the Finance Minister, can you tell us last financial year, 13-14, what is the department's estimate of how much was raised in corporation tax in Northern Ireland? Sorry, we don't know. How then, Minister, did you negotiate in any informed way with the Treasury in the absence of such essential data? That is another reason why I think the whole idea about corporation tax is ill thought out and ill produced, and we will reap a pretty horrendous benefit, I suspect, in further raiding of the block grant in all of that. But this is a budget of the executive, but is it? Because we are in this unique position in the Western democratic world where you can be in government, it seems, and yet vote against the very budget of that.
Would the member draw his remarks to a close?
It's unthinkable, it's unheard of anywhere else, and it indicates, of course, the absolute folly
the member's time is up.
of the system of government.
I call William